We are live.
Hey, Bo Bros
Let's
here.
go. Let's go.
Let's talk about Senior Bowl. Lot to discuss this awesome Saturday, and it's Harbaugh week, right? Harbaugh week.
Yeah.
That was awesome
Harbaugh
press conference. So we need to probably discuss that a little more as well. But I mean, there's just a lot to discuss, man. I mean, we could probably get into some draft talk conversations on what we think is going to happen, who's going to get drafted, what's going to happen moving forward. So a lot to discuss, guys.
A lot to talk about.
Okay, guys, let's get into it.
I'm Dale Henley. You watching the Bo Bros podcast? Let's do it!
What up, guys? What up, guys? Yo.
Yo, what's up? What's up?
Okay, Carl Cast. What's up, man? Hey, Carl, good to see you, man.
What's up, dude?
Hey, we want the Niners to win. I think that's the play. That's what we like. But we're hearing that it's rigged at this point.
Nope.
The whole Swifty BS conversation, dude. Like, just it don't sound good for the Niners at this point.
Dude,
so.
It was crazy because I read this article about I think it was the Japan Parliament talking about, because Taylor Swift has a show the day before, essentially, or it's actually ahead, I think, from us.
Right.
And they said, oh yeah, Taylor Swift will find her way to the Super Bowl. She'll get there safely, no problem. I'm thinking, dude, it's at that level where the government's talking about Taylor Swift getting to the Super Bowl. It's ridiculous.
Dude.
So stupid.
It's aggravating. It's just aggravating.
So dumb.
Yeah. I'm not a fan. 100%. Right. And I will say this. Here we go. There we go. Perfect. F the Queefs. That's right. Yeah, Dennis, he did. He talked about the offensive line a lot, right? He talked about Justin Herbert, how Justin Herbert, he touches the ball every time. And every play, right? So he's got to be protected. So it's important that he's protected, and again, he's going to, go from there. Oh, did Kingsbury not take the role from the Raiders?
Yeah, he went to, I thought it was the Raiders. Did he bounce?
I thought he went to the Raiders. Did he not go to the Raiders?
Did he? Yeah, because he got the job, apparently. Like, they gave it to him, but then 1
day ago he got hired.
Right.
Yeah, it says Raiders it all sounds like he's still there. Wait, won't be? No, excuse me. Bleacher Report just reported Cliff Kingsbury won't be Raiders OC after rumors linked former Cardinals head coach to job.
Wow.
So he is not going to be there. Wow.
That's awesome, dude.
That's
awesome.
Dang.
That's wild.
I mean, I wonder if I was gonna say I wonder if he probably saw like the division. He got scared,
Yeah,
he's scared.
I mean,
what do you think if that has a possibility of him coming to the Chargers? How weird would that be?
I liked him, dude. I liked him. I thought he was good, man. I did not think he was bad at all. I would love him to come here personally.
That would be an interesting move. I mean, it's adding. The thing is, though, my biggest concern about the offensive coordinator, whoever comes in, might end up being like a first-year offensive coordinator guy, and I get a little leery about that.
Yeah.
Right.
But at the same side, you got Jim Harbaugh, so you trust in Harbaugh. In Harbaugh, I trust, baby, all day.
In Harbaugh, we trust, man.
Yeah, dude.
Well, I mean, like Harbaugh said, though, you gotta measure twice and cut once. So
yeah,
So he's gonna. So when it comes to hiring somebody, he's gonna really do due diligence on that,
Yep,
so
100%.
I don't know. So like whoever he gets, I'm gonna support.
Yep,
1,000%.
100%. And by the way, guys, we have we're kind of just watching a little bit of the Senior Bowl on the back end too. So we'll just talk a little bit about some of those guys that we see and plays that we see and such too.
Yeah.
So, this is kind of a first step for us to kind of jump a little bit heavier into the draft and see some of these prospects. Because I mean, as you know, Senior Bowl is a good plethora pool of talent for the draft. So it's a plethora.
Plethora.
Would you say there's a plethora of players on the field today?
Oh, I love it. Well, there's a lot to discuss, and some of the takeaways I had on that, Jim Harbaugh, the one thing I will say, he was humble. Yeah. One of the things that Brandon Staley that frustrated me was he never did not have an answer for anything. And it was always like, I'm right, I'm this and that, and Jim Harbaugh also was like, hey, I got to be better for these guys. I'm in the trenches with these guys. And Brandon Staley never really had that attitude. Am I often thinking that? What do you guys think in the chat? What do you think, James and Kyle?
Yeah, the one thing I'll say about the whole Jim Harbaugh thing and him being humble, I think he understands what he is as a coach.
Yeah.
He is sure of himself. And I think it was Dave Canales, or it was the head coach for the Seahawks, who just had, what's his dang name? Anyways, I watched the press conference with it, and it was one of the two, and he was like, is it safe to say that I could just say I'm kind of nervous and kind of scared a little bit about this? Like, am I ready for this kind of thing?
Yeah.
And I thought that was kind of a little strange to say. You should be pretty confident about yourself. And Jim Harbaugh knows who he is, and he knows what to do. He understands how to be a head coach. He has had plenty of success everywhere he's gone. So basically, in my opinion, I love to see that as a head coach. And I think a major step for the Chargers in the right direction to get the guy that is the right person for once. And this is literally the biggest hire for the Chargers history, in my opinion.
Yeah, 100%. I feel like, Harbaugh, he has a certain level of confidence and a certain level of humility that I think is very balanced for us right now.
Yep.
He said everything that he needed to say, in the right way, I feel like, too. He's kind of like, he's obviously gotten to that point where he understands the game so well, and he understands his position as a head coach so well that he knows that, what he needs to do in order to coach these players. And so, that's just it. How do you coach? I don't even know how, but how do you coach these 21, 25-year-old millionaires? How to play better? I'm sure they all have in some ways they probably have some egos on them, because they got their bag now, they're secure in life, they probably got families and stuff. And so it's a whole different ball game. And so, but I think he's figured that out for sure by now,
Right.
So and that's kind of it. I'm excited for what his answers were always on point for me. And I love the fact that he actually said that he takes a lot out of the Ted Lasso book. And I'm like, yes, thank goodness.
Well, and it's easy. He's kind of almost in a weird way like Ted Lasso, because he just says really odd, but kind of motivational type lines. And the guy knows what he's doing. And he one thing I can't remember who it was that was chatting about Jim Harbaugh. It might have been actually Money. And he was saying something about, one thing I really like about Jim Harbaugh is that when you ask him a question, there's a brief second of where, let me think about it real quick.
Yeah.
And then, he does a very good job of answering it. And then he always leads into some funny story of back in kindergarten, I had this paper I wrote about so and so forth. And you're just he always brings it back to some funny stories. And I love seeing that about this coach. He's a guy that's been trained to be a head coach and be a successful head coach. And I'm excited about it. One thing that I'm going to say, just to jump a little bit further on the Jim Harbaugh conversation, the more interviews that he went through a gauntlet of interviews all day yesterday.
Yep.
And a lot of them are essentially the same thing he talked about over and over and over. But one thing that I kind of grabbed a little bit from it was, he said, I need to step up my game for this team. And the players have basically reciprocated that too and said, I need to step up my game to make sure you're successful.
Mm-hmm.
I love to be able to hear that versus we need to just lift this head coach weekend at Bernie style and try to lift this dude to make him successful versus as the head coach, I want to make you successful, and I got to step my game up to make you successful, and vice versa. I love hearing that. And so I'm just, guys, the sky's the limit with this team right now. Just to have Jim Harbaugh, it's such an amazing hire this organization did. Biggest hire they've ever done. And I think it's elevated this organization in a lot of different ways. So I'm excited about it. Very excited about this hire.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree. I think there's a lot to be said about this. Now, I will say this. This is interesting. So Achilles Smith asked, Jim Harbaugh hired Greg Roman as OC. I'm not feeling what to do with that. What do y'all think? So that's the rumor. Now, I will read an article that I read earlier today that talked about, according to KPRC to Houston's Aaron Wilson, Mike Devlin is expected to coach the offensive line. Obviously, Jesse Minter will be the defensive coordinator. Jay Harbaugh will coach the safeties. Ryan Ficken is expected to retain as special teams coordinator. Greg Roman will be brought in, but his role remains to be seen. Now, this is obviously, what day was this? This was February 2nd. So this was just yesterday. And I am seeing that they're saying report Jim Harbaugh expected to hire Greg Roman as LA Chargers offensive coordinator. Be pretty interesting to see what happens. I'm not a fan of him, quite frankly. I think I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of him. I don't know. What do you think, James and Kyle? But it looks like that seems to be where it's going a little bit with some of these articles I'm seeing today.
I mean, before the live, I said, I got a little bit scared that we're going to end up getting a first-year offensive coordinator guy. And a guy that maybe doesn't fit Jim Harbaugh or know how to work with Jim Harbaugh. And so that kind of made me a little scared about going that direction. I am glad to be able to see that you get a offensive coordinator, if it's going to be Greg Roman, that he has been in the league and actually has done fairly well in the league, in the sense of, hey, he's always one of the top rushing teams in the league. He knows how to rush the ball. And that's a big thing that we have not had for a good amount of time. So it's very, very good to be able to see that. I mean, there was other guys that were talking a little bit about Tanner Engelstrand, which is Engstrand, was the passing game coordinator for the Lions, who actually has connections with Jim Harbaugh. He's a San Diego guy through and through, and was there with University of San Diego with him too. So there was like that idea, but at the same side, first-year offensive coordinator in the NFL. I mean, obviously the Lions did great as a passing game, but the one thing I'm just going to say is that it's like, I'm glad that you're going to have an experienced guy that actually has worked with Jim Harbaugh, because the last thing I want is to be able to have a static or issues with coaching staff that kind of doesn't go well for him, because we kind of know Jim Harbaugh likes to control a little bit in the sense of his environment, if you want to say.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I like what I like about Greg Roman is the fact that he has history with Jim Harbaugh. He was with him at 49ers. And so and they weren't actually a run first offense at that point. I don't think, like, they didn't really have, I guess they had Frank Gore at that point, right?
And he had his best years with Greg Roman.
Yeah. And he had his best years there. Yeah. So,
touchdown.
Yeah. Very
Georgia,
nice.
Georgia wide receiver. Number one.
Nice.
It is, what's his dang name? That's a long name there.
That's not Brown.
That's a long name. That's a long name.
It's not Bowers, so I don't care. So.
Yeah, it's not Bowers.
But I was going to say, because I feel like it's good that Greg Roman has that rushing mindset or whatever.
Yep.
But I feel like, honestly, like, rushing is not the way this league plays anymore. We need to have, obviously, wide receivers, tight ends, passing sets a lot. What was it? Jeremy Jackson, I think that his name is there. And I've read some reports. People said have spoken out against Greg Roman lately.
Yeah.
They're saying that the wide receivers hate him. And a lot of veteran wide receivers actually don't sign contracts with the Ravens because of him. And so that's not going to be a very that's not a great look for sure,
Yeah.
And especially how because the biggest thing is though too is when the game is on the line, you got less than 2 minutes, you got 75 yards to get the ball downfield. You can't run the ball. You got to pass it. You got to pass it to your tight ends, pass it to your wide receivers. I mean, I guess you can pass it to the running backs too. But like that's where the game is kind of gone right now. Like, usually like the last 5 minutes of the game determines the outcome.
Yeah.
So, that's why, like, for me, I would much rather have Pep Hamilton than Greg Roman.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
He was with Harbaugh at Stanford. He was with him at Michigan, and he was Justin Herbert's QB coach his first year. So, and he hasn't even been like in the conversation like last year. So I'm like, hey, what's going on here? Let's get Pep back.
Yeah, and I think there's something to be said about that. I mean, if there is one benefit with Roman is that he's very good at starting a rushing attack.
Yeah.
Clearly Harbaugh wants that because he knows Herbert's going to be able to throw the ball. Yeah. But you're right, like wide receivers want to get the ball too, right? And if you're just constantly running the ball, it gets a little annoying after a while. And again, you understand the point of it, but
right.
I don't know. I think there's something to be said about that. Now, someone like a Cliff Kingsbury, in my opinion, would match very well because he would be much like the passing game coordinator for the Dolphins. What's his name again? Ingstrand or whatever. So. But yeah, I mean, everything I'm seeing on Twitter seems like he's kind of the guy, and I'm like, oh man, I just really don't want him to be the guy. But I mean, he wouldn't be my first choice, but I understand why he's there. Maybe, bottom line, maybe he sees the fact that there's a lot of work that needs to be done to run the ball, and Herbert's still going to get his yards, so
sure.
I don't know. See, and I like this idea, and I was actually just going to say this. You are exactly on the same page as me. I would rather him be the running back coach, but I think the thought is he probably doesn't want to do that. He's like, well, that's stupid. Yeah. Like, I don't want to do that. So that's a newbie job.
He's been around for long enough. He's kind of earned the right to be offensive coordinator's position, Yeah.
But Saquon, dude, man, he'd be sick. Now, again, can he stay healthy, dude? I mean, that guy, dude, you kind of need a dog. I mean, the other thought is Derrick Henry. I know Derrick Henry's a free agent, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see how that plays out too. I mean, I just think that clearly we're going to run the ball better than we have in the past. And that's going to be more of an emphasis than we have in the past. And then we just got to decide, how much, because you don't want to rely 100% on Justin Herbert.
Nope.
And we have 100%.
Yep. And the thing about it is like, I feel like Brandon Staley, he kind of really just put the team on Justin Herbert's back. And based upon like getting guys like Khalil Mack and, like Kyle Van Noy, like getting all these like JC Jackson, he really was just hoping that talent was going to lift everything up versus like his job of being a coach and doing better was going to get these wins. He was hoping talent was going to be a thing. I think it's in a reverse now. Now you got a coach that knows how to coach players. And the talent doesn't necessarily need to be there. It's just about making sure you coach the players to be in the right position to win and succeed. And so it's a big, big difference all around. But to go to the point of Saquon Barkley, awesome. And once again, running backs haven't had big contracts, guys. Like they have not been getting paid. And we don't have a lot of salary cap, but I know there were some questions earlier on. Can we keep Mike Williams and Keenan Allen? You could add void years. You could stretch out money a little bit. You could restructure. I expect a restructure with Keenan Allen. That'll free up some money. I expect it's either going to be through, I don't think Keenan Allen's going to go anywhere at all. I think Mike Williams or probably Khalil Mack are probably the two guys that'll probably end up going. Joey Bosa, personally, in my opinion, you got to find a way to keep that guy healthy. If he's healthy, he'll be a beast, and he's a younger guy. There's ways to make money. And I've kind of looked at it a little bit on over the cap, and I'm still just don't want to sound like an idiot doing a video that makes me sound like an idiot in the end. But so I'm still trying to figure it out completely because salary cap stuff, void years get really confusing all around. So, but it's possible.
I'm not even sure if you'd be able to restructure like Keenan, Mack, Williams, or Bosa. Because like they had theirs just recently restructured. I don't think you can do it again, like back to back, right?
I think you can, or even just if it's as long as they have 1 year left on their contract, you could kind of restructure at that point, or you could just extend 1 year. Like you could just put a small extension if you want, and then you spread out money a little bit more, signing bonuses and base salary and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, right.
Right.
So you give him more money up front, and
Yep.
then he gets paid less, so that it works it out. Basically, it's sort of like a shell game. Yeah, you're getting
Yep.
paid, but we're just paying you in a
Yeah.
different way.
Right.
And by the way, Derrick Henry is still there's no discussion. I don't even think they could sign in free agency. When does free agency start anyways? It's down the road.
March 5th.
Yeah, that's
March,
right. Yeah, it was
start
March.
of March.
So there's
Yeah.
there's no real conversation. Again, these are all rumors, guys. Like this is 100% rumors, right? So
Yep.
but it'll be good. And I think restructuring makes sense. So with some of these guys, personally, I think they're probably going to trade away Bosa and also Williams. They're definitely going to keep Derwin James. I was going to do a video on that as well. Clearly Harbaugh likes Derwin James. He's not going anywhere.
He's talking big on him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So that's exciting to hear. I mean, I love DJ. I just, Brandon Staley clearly didn't use him correctly, right? That was his fault. He handcuffed him a lot.
Well, and you just see what Kyle Hamilton did in the defense with the Ravens.
Man,
like,
crazy.
I mean, he was just all over the field. I mean, what a beast all around. That was awesome.
Yeah. So let's talk about the recent hiring that we were going to do a video on. Gosh, are we going to say this guy's name correctly? Corey Karawik. Karawik. Oh,
sure. Let's go with it.
Jeez, man. Like, I don't know how to say this guy's name, but he's been with the Ravens a long time, dude. 10 years, man. Player evaluation and analytics. Let me give you the definition of what that was, because I'm like, wow, what exactly is that? It's data analytics, a process using statistical and computational methods to analyze, interpret large sets of data. Okay. James, you and I both know this. We're in tech, right? Yep. So it's a big part of, what we do, what I have sold in the past, is data center analytics and understanding that. So basically, what is the data telling you and what's the path of least resistance? That's the whole point, right? So in game, he's going to say, well, they're running 3-4, yada, yada. These plays should work, right? So that's in game. That's what's going to happen. Now, he's probably going to bring his own analytics team over or some other additional people. The process really involves identifying patterns, trends, correlations with data, and making informed decisions or predictions. Brandon Staley, as much as people said he was an analytics guy, I don't think he was an analytics guy. I think he told people he was an analytics guy, but he really wasn't, but he also helps with like player evaluation. So he's going to be helping with potentially JoJo Wooden, all that area. Okay, I think this guy's good. I think this guy's dude. He came from the Ravens. The Ravens know how to draft. You did a whole video on that, James. So I'm sure you want to add a little to that as well.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. Like, you want to find guys that know what they're doing and know how to look at the right talent that fits right for the team. I mean, once again, there was another, I think it might have been Ian Cunningham. Obviously, we didn't hire him as a GM or anything like that, but I feel it's very, very similar to what's going to be with Joe Orwitz, where it's, hey, you draft a guy for a role. You don't draft a guy based upon, oh, well, I'm in the third round and we put this guy as a first round pick. Hey, great.
Yeah.
Well, no, draft a guy for a role on your team.
Yeah.
That's the right way to do it. And that's what these analytic guys do. They kind of tell you, hey, where's some fits, where's some holes that you guys want, and we could find guys in the back end of the draft. Ravens did a great job of drafting guys in the back end. Now, once again, I'm saying this in the sense of just Pro Bowls and basing upon what Tom Telesco did. Tom Telesco never drafted anybody in the back end other than Keenan Allen, and I think it might have been Keenan Allen and one other guy who ended up getting a Pro Bowl on the Chargers. But after the first round, it was 2 players his entire time as a GM that got into the Pro Bowl. That's not good. Ravens constantly 2 players.
Wow.
So constantly after that, the Ravens get Pro Bowl players late rounds, even getting some All-Pro kind of guys too. They create very, very good drafts for role players. And that's what's going to be a great thing about this. I think that Joe Orwitz is going to be able to bring such a great dimension to this team for drafting. And I think, once again, going back to Jim Harbaugh, off season, the Batman is Joe Orwitz and I'm the Robin. During the season, I'm the Batman. He's the Robin. Like,
I love it.
I love it. Team environment here, guys, and know each other's roles during certain times of the year. Let's go.
I'll say one last thing before we pass to Kyle, that the rumor was that he wanted to have control of everything. He has dispelled that rumor. He does not. He wants teamwork.
Yeah.
And they did ask him about his experience with the Niners, and he's like, well, I heard you left because you didn't get along with the GM. And he's like, the media likes to overblow things. And yeah, you probably didn't like the guy maybe, but at the end of the day, he does not have to have full control, but he wants to have a good team that he wants to work with. Right. So the good news is he's building it from the top down. And this guy's a big piece of it, right? This guy went to, he went to Notre Dame School of Business. I'll give you a little bit about his resume here. He went to ticket operations intern, probably in college, hockey operations intern for Chicago Blackhawks hockey.
Okay. Yeah.
IPC database project. So he was working databases. So like the stuff that you and I sell, James.
Yep.
Analytics consultant for hockey, and then he's been with Baltimore for 10 years. So analytics, player evaluation, analytics. This guy will probably be a GM at some point, is what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
So, he's a young GM, which I think is pretty cool.
It's pretty cool to
yep.
see. Yeah.
Yep.
Hey, by the way, in the Senior Bowl, just kind of keeping an eye on it right now. One guy that's killing it right now is Missouri Tigers running back Cody Schrader. 5'7", 214 kind of guy. He's kind of like reminds me a little bit of an Austin Eckler, like a younger Austin Eckler. And last season, he had 276 carries, 1,627 yards, 14 touchdowns, averaged 5.9 yards a run. And right now, he's looking great, catching passes in the flat, doing a good job with the ball in his hands. Just keep an eye on this guy. Keep an eye on him. Keep an eye on him.
Well, and this is a good question, Joker. Okay, so maybe we should ask this question in the chat and also right now. What we know now about Harbaugh and what we know about Hortiz, are we going to keep the 5th pick or trade back? James, you, Kyle, and in the chat, what do you think? Now, the reason why I bring that up is this offensive tackle. Again, some of the best tackles are picked in the first round, but you could probably trade back and probably get a pretty good tackle. You might be able to get Bowers and get another 2nd round pick, and maybe another, maybe 3rd or something like that, with that. Because if we trade back with Atlanta, they want a quarterback, we go to the 8th selection. Heck, we could trade back again and get more picks, who knows, right? Maybe our guy is way down on the board, so what do you guys think? And what do you guys think in the trap? In the trash? In the trap? In the chat.
Trash. Wow. Dang.
I was
thinking how you really feel.
Draft and then chat. And so for some reason, it didn't work. What do you guys think? Yeah. Well.
I don't know, man. Like I offensive tackle, I don't think is the call for us right now. I mean, the bigger need is center. So you could go Joe Alt, but he's a left tackle. I don't know if he would actually adjust well to right tackle, because that's where we need a better right tackle right now. So
Pipkins ain't easy.
Yeah, yes, right. Pipkins ain't easy. Yes, it's like so I would say, like, I don't know, like I think we've found, like, we've kind of just, I've heard some people talking about with Bowers that we can get him like maybe like 12th overall, like at the probably the most, I think. So like that's not going to give us too much of a jump if we can like trade for that kind of stuff. I just don't know if that's going to really be the move or not. Like, I mean, my biggest thing is like right now, like we can see from the Chiefs that they don't have a very good wide receiver set, but they have a great tight end to pair with their quarterback. That is, to me, that kind of speaks volumes that we need a solid tight end for Justin Herbert. I mean, obviously Everett's amazing. Don't get me wrong. I like Everett a lot, but he's getting up there in age, and like and so we need someone to grow and develop with Herbert at that tight end position.
Big time. Well, and that's a great point though, Kyle. Like, I mean, you go and look at a lot of the teams out there, even to say Brock Purdy with Kittle. Yeah. Great tight end, wide receiver or quarterback combo. Obviously, he's got some very good wide receivers on the Niners too. Mahomes to Kelsey, to Mark Andrews, to Lamar Jackson, and even to say the Chargers history, Drew Brees, Gates, Phillip Rivers to Gates, kind of thing. Mm-hmm. It makes a big difference to the game. And I really, if you watch Brock Bowers, and they have a full highlights of his blocking highlights. Yeah. And the guy looks a lot like George Kittle, a guy that could just move people, and you love to see that as a tight end. That helps out the O-line completely. That changes everything.
Right.
For this team. And personally, like Jim Harbaugh even said by name, he even talked about Trey Pipkins. Like he even talked about Sawyer. Like personally, I think you could push Sawyer to the right tackle and he'd be happy about that. You could use Trey Pipkins as a swing tackle. You could use McFadden as the inside, possibly even as a center. You know, I definitely think center is a much bigger position at this point.
Yeah.
That definitely absolutely needs to be, you know, situated through the draft or through free agency or whatnot. But yeah, I think we'll stay where we're at, but I think there's a chance that we could trade with, say, the Falcons and then still even possibly get Bowers too at that point.
Yeah, because I don't think Bowers nobody takes tight ends that early typically.
No.
Yeah.
The one thing about Bowers, though, is he is such a good blocker. And you brought it up, James. He is such an epic blocker. Plus, he has the ability to be an offensive weapon. You pair him up with someone like Everett. You know, again, Everett's a free agent, so we got to re-sign him. But you could probably bring him back for $8 million a year. $8 million a year is a lot of money still.
Yeah.
So that's going to be the question. Can we do that, right? And Acho, dude, don't even get me started on that guy. But his show just aggravates me.
That guy's a clickbait, dude. He's clickbait, dude.
Yeah. 100% clickbait. And dude, his freaking serial killer glasses that he walks around with. I'm like, bro, like I look at this guy and I'm like, dude, like I just do not, that whole group is just a bunch of idiots in my, it's who can yell the most and who can yell the loudest the whole time. Like, man,
that show's annoying.
So annoying.
LaShawn McCoy is actually shady. He's actually doing his own podcast now too. And
good.
I think he's kind of like, cause I feel like he's like the voice of reason to that show.
Yeah.
And he does a pretty good job being on that show, but I feel like he's like, oh man, these guys are just talking too much, man. Like, so I think it's a good platform to be able to do his own podcast. I think he's doing it with just Sean Jackson actually too. So pretty cool.
Yeah. Marvin Harrison, man, I'll tell you what, I would love to get him. You got to wonder. I think they're saying the Cardinals are supposed to get him right at third. I think that's what they're
saying. Cardinals are fifth or fourth or something like that. I think they're the pick just before us.
Yeah. Oh, okay. The fourth. Okay. So, so it'll be interesting to see what happens. I'm very curious. Marcellus Wiley. Yep. Dude, that show, and the chick aggravates the hell out of me, dude.
Yeah.
Clearly just reading the script. It just aggravates. It's like, shut up, dude. Like, I'm done hearing you talk.
Yeah.
So, anyways, but it'll be interesting to see what happens. This is a good question. Stick Dugan. Duggan's here no matter what. I don't know, man. I'm a little all over the map on what we do with that. I don't know. I don't know what to think on that.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I really don't know. What we're going to do in the quarterback. And that's what's going to be such an interesting, when March comes and people start cutting players actually before that, it's going to be like this month, people are going to start getting cut. It's going to be interesting to see where we really go with that quarterback situation. I mean, once again, I don't think Easton Stick was that bad. I don't think he was that bad. I think we just couldn't. He didn't have enough weapons around him. I mean, he did get to the point to get in a field goal range quite a bit. A couple of those field goals should have been touchdowns or could have. If they were touchdowns, we would have had more wins. So I don't have a problem sticking with Stick on a cheap contract. You could probably bring him back for a mil or two. No big deal.
Wouldn't be too much. Yeah. And Lindsley is going to retire. It's already been discussed.
Yeah.
He's gone. Now that would free up cap at space at that point.
Yeah.
Correct?
7.5 million or 8.5 million. It's like a good chunk of money.
Good.
And also one thing too with the salary cap. So, and it sounds like it's kind of, if I'm reading it correctly, we ended last year with 8 million left on the salary cap. So you could essentially move that money over to the next year. And I think it's the owners that make decisions if they want to do that. So I'm hoping to see that they do that. And that's obviously when the season opens, I think they could shift that money around. If they do move over another 8 million, just those two moves alone, gives you, 16.5 million towards the cap less. So that's a big thing to see if they do that. Now, obviously we put 16 million towards Harbaugh, maybe they want to give that $8 million and just pay for him, you know?
Yeah, they could. Well, he's getting paid $16 million a year, guys. That's the rumor. And, I really like that he also said too, that he wants multiple championships here for the Chargers. And
let's go.
Look, I mean, you're in LA, man. You got to be relevant. If you're not winning games, you are not relevant, right? Just like in that movie, The Mask, you got to have some green to make a scene, man. Well, I'll tell you what, the Spanos family showed up and threw some green out there. So but going back to Joe Hortiz, I think there's going to be a lot to be said about that, right? Center, right tackle. There's a lot. Now, again, I think a lot of people could be swizzled around too, right? Zion Johnson could be swizzled around. He played some center. I think McFadden played some center. So they can move things around with even what we have now, quite frankly. I mean, McFadden might even be the right tackle. He might be the guy. And so, but you got a guy like Brock Bowers. I mean, think about where he's such a benefit. And this is probably the only reason why I like him. Sorry, say again?
No, touchdown. Bo Nix just threw a touchdown.
Oh, he did, dude. Yeah. Bo Nix is pretty good too, man.
Yeah,
I'm a fan of that.
Number 88 on their team from Minnesota, I believe it is.
Nice.
Yeah, Bo Nix is an interesting one. I can't remember what team was talking about him.
Yeah,
I think it might have been the Raiders. I think Tom Telesco was linking Bo Nix to the Raiders.
Oh, really?
There was a little bit of talk on that, but there's even some crazier rumors that they're going to give up the house to be able to get the USC quarterback Williams.
Oh God!
And I
think that guy's a straight up bust, dude. That guy's a bust.
A lot of potential attitude situations with him. Which,
dude. Like
that's a bad move in my opinion.
Get it? Fine, go for it. That guy seems like an asshole. Hey, dude. So the one thing I will say about Brock Bowers, again, he's like another offensive lineman, right? Again,
exactly. Yeah.
We are running a ton. We will be running a lot of 22 personnel, 2 tight end sets, right? And then we might have a fullback in there. That is power football, dudes. Okay, that is power football. We are going to smash the ball down your throat, and stop us, right? And that's how they're going to run the ball. That's what they're going to do. So, yeah.
So the guy who got a touchdown was Braven Spain Ford. He had 541 yards gained after the catch in 2021, 4th among all tight ends. So, wow, cool. Good to hear.
Yeah, Peyton. I don't like Sean Payton, dude. That guy's a bitch, dude. I am not a fan of that dude. I am so glad we did not go get him.
Yeah, my buddy.
I'm excited for Peyton to come up to Jim Harbaugh after the game and be like, "Hey, what's your deal, man?" Just like Pete Carroll did. Yeah,
that was funny.
Yeah,
my buddy who's a Broncos fan seems pretty down on Peyton too. I mean, the thing is though, I think he's an egotistical coach. Yeah. And I mean, I'm not saying that Jim Harbaugh doesn't have a level of control, but he has an understanding. I don't want to ruin the culture. Go back to his press conference, we fence. It's about us. It's all about us as a team. Offense, defense, coaching, everybody. And so it's about us being together. It's not about creating some contentious situation.
Yeah. And so again, it will be interesting to see if we keep the 5th pick and go with Bowers. I'm very curious to see how that plays out. But Powers, I'm not sure in most mock drafts where he ends up, but yeah, I know that guy is I think he's considered one of the best centers in the game or for the draft, if I remember correctly.
Yep. And a lot of Senior Bowl talk about him is that he's potential that he could get in the 1st round now. That's how well he's done so far.
In the Senior Bowl?
Yeah, in the Senior Bowl.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. I'm very curious to see. Have you guys seen the opponents? If we play the cards right and draft, what do you think we finish off at, or just looks like? Oh, as far as the record's concerned, dude, I think we could just go. What is that? 13-4. I think that could happen. 12-5, 13-4.
I think 12-5. Yeah.
Because think of it this way, and then we talked about this on our last podcast. Is look, guys, we were 1-9 in 1-score games. Now, Harbaugh, if you just can flip that and make the defense better, guys, remember this. Just so you know, when Brandon Staley was let go, we were giving up on average 27 points a game. So we were 28th in the league. The last 3 games, and you could argue, well, it's Chiefs backups, whatever. Broncos weren't playing for anything. We only gave up 17 points total per game. That ranked top 5. Yep. And we ran a very different type of defense, and probably didn't look very different. But bottom line, it was more press man. And so they have the talent. We just had the wrong defensive scheme the entire time.
Yep.
So, again, Harbaugh, mixture of an actual competent defensive coordinator that is just going to run just base defense that everyone understands. I think that could easily get us, 12 to 13 wins next season. Yeah. So,
I mean, and the big part of it is that we didn't have a run game to pace out a game by any means. And when we ran the ball, it was just highly inefficient. Like,
terrible.
Yeah.
How many times were we like, oh, it's a 3rd and 1 or 1st down, just run the ball up the gut and get nothing. Like, it's so annoying. Man. It's so annoying. We did a terrible job for running the ball all season. And
we were horrible.
You best believe, especially if Greg Roman comes in here, we're going to have a run game. We're going to find a way to be able to get this team running really, really well. And I think there's going to be a lot of really good running backs in this draft, in my opinion. Like, just watching the Senior Bowl right now, like, there's some guys that look like could be really good dogs, like, for this team. Now it's just about trying to find those guys that fit Jim Harbaugh's philosophy. That's all it is. Physical guys.
I mean, I'm going to say this though, guys. I want to be optimistic about our season next year, but being a Chargers fan, we know how things go.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna keep my expectations lower than y'all. I'm gonna say 10-7 for me is what
there you go.
Like my best projection is for the season. Like, I know I believe in Harbaugh. I believe in what we can do. Like, but I just got to keep my hopes at a lower level because I just can't build myself up yet again. Like, we already did that last season.
Yeah.
Where we thought we were gonna go 10-5 or whatever, or 12-5. Well, that switch that, reverse that, So yeah.
I mean, the bigger part of it is can we get to the playoffs is really the question. That's all that really matters. Get to the playoffs, so you got a ticket to the show. And so it's like that's really all it is. 10-7 could be that record that can make it happen. I mean, the AFC is a beast as a division, and there was some teams that came in at 10-7. So
and we got the Queefs in our division. We got to play them twice.
Yep.
And again, at this point, Robert, thrice, and at this point, Robert, it is a rumor. So again, everything up to this point is a rumor. So I like this. So restructure Allen, give him his money, signing bonus. He's going to retire a Charger. He was very clear. He does not want to play for any other team. In fact, I think he even threatened, like, he made a comment like, well, if they don't want me, then I'll probably just retire.
Yeah.
You know what? Why? I don't think he wants to go anywhere. Right. So, Bolt Line, I agree with you on this. We could trade down and get Bowers. I think Bowers will be a little further down the list. So if we trade back, get more picks, you and I are 100% on the same page. Go ahead, guys.
I was also going to say, too, Ravens historically, obviously, Joe Hortiz wasn't the GM, but he was a part of the player evaluations in the sense choosing and making decisions, and did have a lot of conversations about draft classes for the Ravens. So there is a level that he did influence decisions. And so you got to go back to Hollywood Brown, and they traded him off to the Cardinals and ended up getting a pretty good haul for him. Keep in mind, I think there will be trades of players, and I think Khalil Mack, in my opinion, will be that guy. That'll be a trade for a player to get more picks without even possibly moving too. Like, Khalil Mack just came off of a beast year. Obviously, he's got a big cap hit, more or less. We got to find a way to slim that down. Khalil Mack's a dog, and I'd love to have him on this team. But I keep in mind, I really think this draft will have a trade of some player at some level, like Joey Bosa, Khalil Mack, Mike Williams. I don't know if that's possible, but we'll see. Keep in mind that. Keep in mind.
Yep. Yeah. And Gibbs Smith is no longer with us, which does break my heart. But again, he didn't have a lot of ties with Harbaugh and the staff. And that's why that's it. It's not a conversation beyond that. Now, again, talking about Ryan Ficken and the whole, Jay Harbaugh conversation. because Jay Harbaugh ran special teams for Michigan. He's probably going to be learning a lot, going to be sort of, shadowing what Ryan Ficken's doing. So, and this is a really good point. You talk about Ben Herbert, the injury bug gets stomped out by Ben Herbert because he works his guys to death, man.
Yeah.
Now, so here's the question, and then let's talk about this in the chat as well, too, guys. In the chat and the Bolt Bros, do you think that Ben Herbert's way of training, we all seen the videos, do you think that'll translate to the NFL? Because it's different. It's going to be very focused and very intense. And is that really going to translate well? Anyways, it's something to think about. What do you guys think?
If it translated to younger guys, I think it translates to the older guys. It's got to. I mean, the thing is, though, I'm going to say one thing here. In the NFL, these are obviously millionaires. Now, you could even say the same thing about players with NIL deals in college football to some level.
Yeah.
But I really feel that it's going to translate well to be able to not just have, I think Andrew even chatted about it, that there was some talks about like the off season was kind of more of like just a vacation in a sense, or it just seemed like a very casual thing in a sense. Like it didn't have like defined roles of trying to get these players better, stronger, faster, make them work harder essentially. And best believe Jim Harbaugh is going to be doing it. The story is that and I want to say it was him first day that Jim Harbaugh was hired or whatnot. He was in the weight room or something like that with a shop vac in there. He was shirt off, just sitting there, just cleaning up with a shop vac in the weight room. Like, like think about how funny that is as like you as a player walking in, you're seeing your head coach, your new head coach in here,
like,
cleaning up the weight room, the buffet that he called it as. Like all you can eat buffet. And this, you have got to put in your work with this team or you're not going to be a part of this team. And so I think it's almost like it's somewhat of a threat that you better put in work. You better sweat. He talked about it. You better work out as hard as you can, sweat as hard as you can, get tired as you can. When your head hits the pillow, you're asleep kind of thing. Like, I think it just has to happen. That's Jim Harbaugh way. Put in work.
And nothing is substituted from hard work. He's talked about that quite a bit. And by the way, Dwight, good point. Can we please stop drafting these little running backs?
Yep.
Darius Davis is a small dude, man. Lightning bug. He's a small dude. Very fast, but very small. And so, there's something to be said about that too. So I don't disagree with you on that.
Well, even to say that too, like, I mean, Blake Corum is kind of in a sense a smaller back, but one other guy to really keep an eye on, which has had a little bit of connection to this team, more just for the past with Jim Harbaugh, is Frank Gore Jr. And he's a smaller guy, 5'7" guy, but highly, highly efficient in the college rankings. I mean, that's one guy definitely to keep an eye on too. But are we going to draft a smaller running back? I mean, at this point, I think we really need a big power back, the guy that could be a bruiser back, get you 300 carries a year kind of thing.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, there's just going to be a lot to be said about all that. And, I feel like, again, I do think that we are going to I'm really curious to see what Joe says this next week. So we're going to go live for that as well. We can broadcast that. So we are going to go live. Again, we went live for Harbaugh's announcement as well. But I think once we hear what he says, I think we'll have a pretty clear picture. That's partially why we don't really want to talk about the draft, because it's super hypothetical at this point, right? We don't even know our entire staff, who's even our offensive coordinator at this point.
Right.
We know Jesse Minter, but again, it's just throwing a dart at dartboard at this point, right?
Yeah.
But again, I think there's a lot to be said about all this stuff, right? So yeah.
Yep. Absolutely.
5JH initials on this team. That's right. Yeah.
Dude, it's insane, right? It's insane.
That's awesome.
I don't know what connection is. Now we just need to get a Lombardi out of this, please.
Yeah, right.
Hopefully this equates to a Lombardi.
An LT Lombardi trophy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I like that. Yeah. Go ahead, Kyle.
So I was just gonna say though too, going back to the Ben Herbert thing. So because I've been watching the old season of All or Nothing from 2018 about Michigan. Ben Herbert was there too, there was a little segment about him in the show.
Oh, really?
And it was very small, but but it was showing how he was actually helping the players' ankles, and that's super important for our team because we play on turf. Like the turf is like probably the worst part, for the lower body for any player, So I think he's going to have a good philosophy on that, and I think that like a lot of players should end up trusting him because of the strength and conditioning atmosphere that he builds up, and I mean, I was saying this on the Wednesday night show that I did for Madden as well. But I was thinking like, what we need more than anything is a nutritional coach. And I think he brings that here because like seeing them walking around with like bags of like Popeye's chicken on that bus or like
Dude,
all these things. I'm like, come on, guys, just feed these guys. Like they need to be eating at least 250 grams of protein a day, probably more, Like, I mean, I get it that Popeye, chicken has all that stuff, but come on, give them something better than that,
I mean, grilled chicken, versus fried chicken, big difference, like
big time.
That's, you got to have the right thing. And it was interesting. I think in that same segment, I think they showed that they had like massive amount of steaks there, like in the cafeteria. Like it looked like it looked like a straight up buffet. I was in.
Right.
Sign me up. Let's go.
Yeah, I'm ready to go eat in there.
Yeah, I'm ready. So I mean, and a big thing, and I think Ben Herbert is going to be that guy that brings that nutritional plan.
He is, that's a big part of it. And by the way, he's getting paid a lot of money. He's getting paid a lot of money. I think he actually is. I think Matt Money Smith said something like he might be the highest paid strength and conditioning coach in the country.
Hey,
so
we need it.
Yeah, he's the guy. He's the guy. Yeah. One thing about Jesse Minter, I will say, I don't know if I expect him to be here very long. If he really can turn this defense around like we expect him to, I think there's a very good chance this next go around he's gone as a head coach somewhere else. I would assume so. I mean, he was even a lot of people were talking about him. So I'm very curious to see what happens with all that.
Yeah.
Make food great again. I like that.
Yes, that's right.
I like that.
That's right, Goomba.
Yeah,
that's fantastic.
And CJ Okoye, right? But he's such a young player.
By the way, we gotta congratulate Goomba as well. He's he just had a baby born the same day that Harbaugh had his conference.
Yeah. Yo, that's what's up.
Goomba.
It's an omen. It's an omen. That means we're this time next year we're in the Super Bowl. We're going to win one.
Well, actually, no. It was when he was announced when Harbaugh was announced as a coach. Yeah, so even better, Dave.
even better. Let's go.
Yeah.
Yep. Jared Verse, a defensive end, 37 pick, trade Joey or Mac. Yeah, I mean, this team could get young. And Minter is signed. He is signed, I believe. So that's as I understand it, he's already there.
Yeah.
I heard it was kind of something that they might have to go through some sort of hiring process in a sense, or at least through the whole Rooney Rule still.
Oh yes. So it could be. Yeah, it could be.
I mean, but it's like a sure thing. I mean, at this point, anybody taking that type of position, you're probably like, dude, like, come on, like this is a waste of time. But then again, you interview for a defensive coordinator position because there's a chance that you're going to get some other position. Maybe you're a running game coordinator. Maybe you're, at some other offensive level, a wide receiver coach or whatnot. So there's a lot of job openings, and I'm putting in my resume to the Chargers. Let's go.
Yes.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Mikey Davis, sad. He killed it the year before, man, but he just struggled this last year.
Yeah. I don't know what it is.
The whole defense did though, man. They were so disconnected, and again, Brandon Staley never adjusted, never made any changes. Yeah. The thing I will say this, and we don't need to beat a dead horse with Jesse Minter. They are going to be physical. They are going to be 110% physical. Great, you're going to run over the middle. We're going to hit you hard. And you're going to get smacked around, and it's not going to be a problem, right?
Interception.
Or interceptions, yeah.
No, right now on the Senior Bowl.
Oh, Senior Bowl.
Yeah.
This is the quarterback from Tennessee, right?
Yep.
I just threw it.
Yep.
Yeah. Who ended up getting that pick, anyways? Let me see.
Yeah, I can see. Yeah.
As I understand it, Jesse Minter has been named, but I don't know
the body that way. No way.
Yeah, that was bad.
Bad choice.
Yeah, bad.
Yeah.
Bad.
Oh, that's Utah.
Utah guy.
Cornerback. Yeah, Utah guy that ended up getting it. Or I think so.
No,
Yeah.
I don't think so. That's a yellow helmet. Yeah,
Oh,
like, that's
yellow.
not-
Well, I saw
no.
another Utah guy in the pile there. So.
Yeah, no, it was some yellow helmet guy. I don't know. I don't know who that is.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's Pitt. I think it was Pitt.
Pitt.
So Jesse Minter has, I think he changed his Facebook page, or he's changed everything. It's like Wikipedia, all the above. So it's done. I think it's just clearing, Rooney rules. Exactly. And again, so just so you guys know, that's probably why Roman is our guy, right?
Yep.
You can't say he's your guy yet, technically, but it's all signs are pointing that direction, right?
Yep, sure.
It's like that little 8-ball thing. Yeah. Oh, is Jesse Minter going to be our defensive coordinator? All signs point to yes, right? So yes, so it's you know how we had that so much as kids, But let's just look at the defense though. I did a video on this, guys. Look, in 2022, points per game allowed 16 points, right? In 2023, under 10 points. Now again, that's Michigan. That's not the Chargers. Total yards per game allowed. 292 in 2022, and 2023 is 239, right? That's amazing. So sack rate went up, yards allowed went down. It's just, dude, yards per rush, right? So it went from 9th to 6th. So they played stingy down the middle. But again, remember what he said was, let me look it up. I can't remember Jesse Minter's philosophy. Hold on. Jesse Minter's philosophy. Let's see. Jesse Minter, defensive coordinator. Yeah, go ahead. I'll look it up real quick because I remember there was this whole thing that he said on it was like beating the blocks. There's 4 pillars. So go ahead and talk about him while I look up the exact quote.
Bottom line, if Jesse Minter brings a defense that actually could tackle, that's a win. I mean, that's like the biggest thing. How many times do we see dudes just fundamentally look terrible trying to tackle somebody, and we just look like we're slipping and sliding all over the dang place, doing arm tackles and just awful. I mean, in my mind, I have memories of Michigan during the playoffs and just watching when the guy gets a ball, go after the ball. There's 3 guys on him tackling and pulling him to the ground. How many times Michael Davis, where he ends up being the solo guy trying to make a tackle, and he bounces off the guy, and the guy ends up getting another 30 yards after that kind of thing, or he down or whatnot. We're going to have a physical defense. It's going to be great. Our offense is going to be very physical. It's going to be amazing to watch, and it is definitely overdue.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, one of the things that I've always thought about, totally an unorthodox way to get people to tackle better, I think.
Battle.
Yeah, whatever.
Hey, we're all having a great time talking.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. I feel like defensive players need to strengthen up their grip. They need to get a grip. You know what I'm saying? So and I was thinking, I was like, how can they do that? I was like, there's probably drills that they can do, where they're just holding on to they're trying to kind of shimmy across a long ledge with just their fingers, because that's what rock climbers do and stuff like that, So I was like, that would be, I think that would be a pretty interesting drill that they can do, whatever. But I don't know. Jesse Minter's got his own things to do and stuff, But the one cautions that I would say about this is that obviously college football and pro football completely different. I think I take these stats that we're seeing right here on the screen with a grain of salt. I mean, sure, okay, that's great, great for college, but are you going to be able to do that in the pros? You're talking about a whole different speed, man. You're going from freaking 0 to 60 in freaking 2 seconds there, So that this is my concern on that. It's stats are stats. I kind of don't really trust stats so much anymore. I mean, especially out of college and stuff like that. It just they don't really, they mean something, but they don't mean everything.
Yeah, for sure. Sure.
Absolutely. And I mean, at the same side, it's what he did on the field that matters. and then
Yeah.
translate that to the NFL. That's where the idea of like whole physical based type team, physical defense, guys that are basically in the right position to make the right, play kind of thing. That's all it really is. And I think Jesse Minter is going to bring that to this team for sure.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting. I think it'll be interesting to see also what happens. Sunday Samuel, JT Woods don't look like a Harbaugh guy, can't tackle. Well, I'll tell you what, they better figure it out. Yep. Interesting to see what happens with JT Woods, right? I think sometimes, and guys, what do you think on this too? And I'm still trying to find this article. I'm really kind of annoyed that I can't find it here. But it's I think part of it came down to coaching. We all know that Brandon Staley had his boys. If you weren't Bosa, you weren't Williams, you weren't Mack, you weren't Herbert, you were navel lint to him, right? And so I kind of feel like that's Herbert, Harbaugh's not going to be that way, right? So I think guys like JT Woods, these other guys could potentially do better because they'll get more attention from the coaches to do better, right? So I don't know. That's kind of my take on it. Oh, here we go. All right. Regarding Minter's, boys, took forever to find. I'm sorry, guys. Regarding Minter's coverage, he runs a variation of the 2021 McDonald, who's now the Seahawks, aka the Seahawks head coach now, 3-4-4-2-5 Michigan scheme. Okay, so it's a similar dose of cover 3 and cover 1. So, and again, pros and college very different, right? They kind of talk about how a little different it is, right? So, and I'm trying to think of what he said about the stool. Oh man, I'm gonna have a hard time finding that as well too. I'll find out what he said about that because he had a philosophy of 4 different things. So let me look that up.
Tackle. That's it.
Yeah,
that's good enough for me.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
It was interesting that interception that was put on in the Senior Bowl just now, or just a little while ago.
Yeah.
So it was Joe Milton that threw the pass. He was moving about 14.5 miles per hour when he made the throw on that interception. And former Oregon defensive back Evan Williams reached 18.7 miles per hour on the same play. So, and they're talking a lot about how Milton really has been unimpressive this week and making multiple bad decisions and errors, placement issues, overthrows. So kind of interesting, just interesting thing out there, just talking about the Senior Bowl.
Yeah, which I like. And again, this guy, Ben Herbert's going to be an absolute crazy man. I mean, this guy's just a ball of testosterone. Absolutely amazing. And again, think of him as well. I mean, he's kind of like the cheerleader, right? He's getting everybody hyped up, ready to go. I love that. Man, where is that little discussion that he talks about? Yeah, I'll try and find it. So, anyways, I think a lot to be said. But again, Tommy, hey, look, the Spanos family's paid up, guys. I mean, and they're paying money, dude. Guys, like let's be very clear. Jesse Minter is probably going to be one of the highest paid defensive coordinators. Whoever the OC is going to probably be one of the highest paid OC. They are throwing out cash at this point. They are. Yep. So, we cannot argue that they're not paying people anymore. They're paying people plenty.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the thing. Marcellus Wiley talked about it, and I think I chatted a little bit about it on Thursday, I believe, for our live. He said, "Hey, look, don't blame the Spanoses on this. Think about if I gave you $100 and you drove up to LA and you got $200, would you do it? Because essentially that's what they did when they moved from San Diego. They doubled basically their money and their net worth as a company or as a team, and they've been trying to get a stadium forever and ever and ever, and never happened. So, look, they got money. If you go from San Diego to LA, make, your franchise be $4 billion versus $2 billion when it was in San Diego, you got money. You got money to spend. So, and it's great to see that they're finally doing that. And it's great to see that they're actually choosing somebody that knows what they're doing and a guy that could instantly make you a winner and instantly make you a true threat and change the narrative of the Chargers as an organization. So it's great to see.
Well, one thing I just read also is that he has a buyout clause from Michigan. $2 million has to go to Michigan because he's playing for the Chargers, or he's going to be coaching the Chargers now. So
wait, what? So like he has to pay Michigan?
To buy him out. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Oh, got it. Okay, that's funny. I bet you Spanos is paying that for him.
Oh yeah, no, he is.
Oh, they have to, yeah. They have to.
Got it. Okay. I thought you meant that Harbaugh had to pay Michigan
Oh no,
an extra $2 million. So yeah,
No.
like what? Yeah. So okay, got it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll have to find it somewhere else. Bottom line, it was like his general philosophy. It was like break up the blocks, communicate correctly. I can't remember the other two, but anyways, it's be physical, something of that nature. And I think there's a lot to be said. And you're right. Spiller needs a better opportunity. I think there's a lot to be said about that. I think Spiller has not had an opportunity in the NFL, guys. He just has not. So,
Yep.
It'll be interesting to see. Attacking. That's right. That's the thing too.
They just missed the field goal. Like
yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Bummer.
Yep.
Doinked
it. Doink.
Doink.
Well, I think the shop vac is probably that's probably the new facility where he did that at? I'm sure there's probably a lot of things going on in that new facility.
I don't know if that's really like fully put together. I mean, it looks pretty well together, but I can't imagine he's over there now. I think that was probably just at the Costa Mesa facility.
Yeah, and again, we got the right QB guys, Jim Harbaugh, Brandon Staley were quarterbacks. We got a good one now. Yeah, I agree. And again, Harbaugh's in the trenches. People can see genuineness, right? And dude, Jim Harbaugh is going to be out there throwing the ball with Justin Herbert before the game, and then he's going to hit his pads and hit his head, get him ready for it. I mean, I don't know if he was going to want him to do that or whatever, but it would be nice to see him get a little bit of a dog in Justin Herbert as well. So I'm very curious to see that relationship as it progresses. So I'm very curious.
Well, such a difference from Brandon Staley being doing those little like stretches on the sidelines versus now you got a head coach that wants to throw the ball around and get you excited. The
big cat cows on the sideline.
Yeah.
Oh.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, there's going to be a lot of good things happening. I'm very excited. So, but it's good to know. Now, again, to everyone's point, he is the guy. He just hasn't cleared whatever needs to be cleared, the Rooney Rule and all the above, right? So those are things that have to be sort of hammered out, right?
Yep.
So, yeah. Well, guys, I know we've been doing this for about an hour now. I know we want to be mindful of everybody's time, but I guess I'll just say this. Look, I think this is a great step in the right direction for the Chargers and Chargers fans. I mean, finally, this Spanos family is like, fine, we're done with this. We're done with these first-year head coaches. We're gonna get our guy. We're gonna pay the money. The good thing is he's going to be building a dynasty, and whoever steps in, if you bring them through the organization, they're going to be ready, right? And it'll be interesting to see, when Harbaugh wants to retire. I think he's obviously going to give him 5 years, but what does year 6 look like? Would he want to stay another 5 years, or would he want to say, okay, cool, I'll leave and maybe be GM, and then we'll let somebody else, be the head coach? So I'm curious to see how that plays out, but that's thinking way down the line. Again, it's going to be physical, guys. It's going to be physical, and I'm excited to see that. So,
yeah, and I the one thing too about Jim Harbaugh, obviously we're going to talk quite a bit about him for this amount of time in the off season. It's a big thing for us and Joe Hortiz and everything too. But the big thing is though, like he knows he doesn't have much time left, and I think that we're really looking at a 10-year span with Jim Harbaugh if everything really goes well. I mean, he talked about it in the sense of, there's only so much sand in the hourglass, right? And he knows his time is getting kind of short, and he's going to put in work to put this team in success.
Yeah.
Like to succeed and do extremely well. I'm excited about that. You got a guy that I kind of almost feel confident as a Chargers fan now. Like, let's talk now. Like, you believe that Jim Harbaugh is going to be able to make us a winner? I feel like we could definitely be a winner at this point. And we could be a threat to the AFC in a lot of different ways. Like, I mean, it's going to be exciting, guys. And watching the Senior Bowl right now, if you don't watch the Senior Bowl, guys, you should just check it out for guys that are kind of coming up. I mean, there's a lot of actually a link to one running back that I was reading about. It was Kumani Vidal. It's a Troy running back, 5'8", 215 kind of guy. It seems kind of smaller, but 297 carries, 1,661 yards, 14 touchdowns. You got to give a good look at him, and there's some connections with him and with the Chargers and the Rams right now too. So and he's had back-to-back over 1,000-yard base seasons too. So, and he's caught a fair amount of passes too. So,
Yeah,
keep an eye out. Keep an eye out for these prospects, guys. And the combine should be coming up after the Super Bowl. I think a week or two after the Super Bowl. I think is when the combine happens. That's fun to watch too. So, guys, this offseason is going to be really fun, and I'm loving it. I'm loving it so far.
Who's got it better than us?
Nobody. Bolt up, bros.
Bolt up. Kyle, what's your final thoughts?
I mean, well, there's a lot going on, so like excited for all the things that Jim Harbaugh is talking about with the team. We talked a lot about tackling, but I think we also need to talk a lot about blocking. That's big thing. Like, the two football 101, you got to tackle and you got to block. So like that's I think what we need to do. I'm excited for his philosophy of this we fence too, though, because it makes it, there is no
I-in team or something like that.
team, stuff like that. It's like, even if the other players are on the field, like, they're still your team, and you got to like support them too, so and like there's just so many things that like I'm just curious about, and like, we're not going to really know until freaking September. So I'm like, it's a long off season. Like, it's crazy to me too, is like with our cycle as Chargers fans, we had like that no hope, and then like I thought there would be kind of a lead up to having all this hope again for the team, but as soon as he got Harbaugh, it just went we do not pass go. It went straight back to Super Bowl. Super Bowl. It's like, I'm like, oh gosh. Like,
well, I mean, I think we talked about the out of your Falcon mind guys about that too, and it was like that. How quickly you're like down on your team to where it's like, oh man, but best believe once that draft hits or when that training camp hits, you're there day one kind of thing.
That's right.
I think we're ready for training camp right now. Let's go.
Yeah.
Like,
go for it.
Yeah. Right.
But the big thing too, just a last little point too on Jim Harbaugh, he's getting the players excited to play for him. He's getting the players to want to step up their game. He's getting himself excited to step up his game for the players to make sure they succeed. I love seeing that, guys. Like, I love being able to see that you want a coach that wants to step his game up to be able to all succeed as a team together. And I love it. It's great to see. And I cannot wait to see this team going. So, we are lock, cock, ready to rock. Let's go.
Let's go, baby. Let's go, baby. Don't let the powder lose for you.
Lock, cock, ready to block, too. We need that for sure.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. That's a good one right there. I like that. Oh, I like that one better. Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
But
all righty, guys. Well,
it's gonna be great.
It's gonna be awesome. Okay,
we're
the Bolt Bros. We'll see you guys in the next one.
Let's go.
Bros, let's go. Woo.